Hi, my name is Bronte Murgett. I was a transfer from New Mexico and ended up at the University of Missouri.
Thanks so much for joining me today, Bronte. So just talk me through, your junior career. Did you play a lot of national tournaments? Did you get to play any international tournaments? And where were you based as a junior?
I played a little bit of international, but mostly did a lot around Britain, playing from anywhere from grade 2s to national tournaments. And I was pretty much based at Thongsbridge in Home Firth, and then from 14 onwards I was based at Bolton Arena.
And at what point did you first hear about American college as an option? And then at what point did you hear about Stars and Stripes / Pippa?
I actually heard about Stars and Stripes and Pippa as one of my first or second, I guess she came and did tours around different places in Britain, and I was at and saw her and really liked her and stuff, so I ended up going with her, I think at around 15.
Oh wow, so you were quite young then when...
Yeah, I think because it was around GCSE time that I obviously figured out that I was going to go to America, so I was starting to take GCSEs to prepare for that, and then just kind of speaking through Pippa and got a good relationship with her, and then kind of basically went on with that. Really.
Yeah, so starting that relationship with Pippa, how helpful was she in terms of, talking about American college? When I first, started thinking about where I was going, I didn't know anything about conferences or where was best to go for, tennis, or whether I wanted to be at a big school, smaller school. How did she kind of help you with those, those options?
She had a lot of information. Obviously, she's done it herself, so she's been out there and played and stuff, so she has first-hand experience of that, which obviously is nice.
Yeah.
I mean, they're a very welcoming person too, and easy to get along with, which helps.
Yeah.
You can put trust in her, and I trusted her. Me and her went out on our visits together, actually. So
oh wow, nice.
I didn't go with my mum.
Yeah.
She was busy working and stuff, and my coaches and stuff. So actually, me and her went out on all of my
Oh, that's
visits.
so nice. Yeah.
Yeah, she was staying in hotel rooms and all that. So it was quite fun to know each other, and it was nice alongside of me that obviously knew what she was doing and can help with that interaction with the coach, and just trying to get that conversation flowing easily. And all that. It made it very easy. She also has a lot of background knowledge, and she's good at making those first connections through emails or through however the process she does. I'm not sure about how all that works on the side, but
there's a lot, isn't there, of NCAA eligibility rules, and just a lot of paperwork that seems quite daunting to go through by yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So when you're filling out all that, I mean, she was super helpful. Whenever I had questions, I wasn't sure how to answer a question, she was there on the end of the phone, ready to have that kind of conversation to help you through it all. Yeah. Especially that I was the first person out of my family that did it too. So you obviously your whole family's new to that. So it's it's not you can just ask your mum or ask your older sibling. So she was really helpful in that way. Yeah.
Nice. And so your first school you chose was University of New Mexico. Why did you come to that decision? I will say you did visit my school, Old Dominion, but why did you choose New Mexico, and what was that kind of process like? Because I know it's different for every single player. Sometimes you just step on a campus and you feel like this is the place for me. Was it more the coaching or
it was weird, because honestly, when I had my list of things I was going to go visit, Old Dominion was one of my top. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I'm probably going to go there. Yeah. And New Mexico was actually the bottom of our list. What am I doing? Why should I even go? But when I was at New Mexico, I just had this kind of it was just this kind
feeling.
Of draw.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was really weird. I really liked my coach, Steph Wooten. She played a big part in that, and I just kind of liked the vibe of it. You're in the desert. It's something completely different to England to anything I've ever experienced. Like, I like to travel and explore new places, and I just thought it was, I mean, it's known to be like the world of enchantment and whatever. So it's just kind of like, that kind of just drew me in a little bit, and it was just something different, a little bit quirky, and just thought, why not?
Yeah, for sure. And so you spent your first 3 years there, how was it having Pippa as kind of like a reference? You know, a lot of the players I've spoken to so far have said that she's great because you can still kind of speak to her even though, you know, like you've signed and you've gone. Did you feel like that, you know, you had that support if you had any questions when you're out there? Or obviously you ended up transferring, but in the first 3 years, did you feel like she was still, you know, like a point of contact for yourself?
Oh yeah, I used to contact her all the time. Like, my first couple of weeks, I'm pretty sure I messaged her just like asking questions, or if I was overwhelmed with, like, even just because the schoolwork's so different there as well. Like, the way they do things there, I was overwhelmed with that. Like, what do you mean I have a quiz due tomorrow? I've only been in school a day. Like, like, just things like that was just very different for me, and I went for her for a lot of stuff, to be honest. Any advice? She was kind of like a, I don't know, mentor,
advisor,
So I just went with her for a lot throughout the time. Obviously, when I first thought about transferring, she was obviously the first person I really spoke to about it outside of New Mexico. So yeah, she was a big help in that.
Yeah. So just talking about, you know, like the transfer process, because I know it's different. I don't know if it was different when you did it to how the rules are now, with there being like the portal and stuff like that. But how helpful was it to have, you know, someone like Pippa kind of guide you through those rules? Because I know that they're really like a stickler on that stuff. Like, they can put in like rules that you can't go to some place, or I don't know how it was, but I know that there was always something like, when you talked about transferring, it was always like, be really careful about the rules and all of that stuff. So how was that?
Yeah, for sure. So obviously I transferred during COVID.
Okay.
And that's also because I had a coach swap as well.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that yet.
So the coach I transferred on, she was the first coach.
Yeah.
After all the coach transferred. So, but basically, I was still in the period where you couldn't transfer within your own conference. You had to sit a year out, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Luckily, I didn't transfer to my own conference anyway, so it wasn't really too much of a big deal for me. But she definitely helped me with like when to explain to your coach that you would want to transfer. She helped with like that kind of, because that's like the biggest deal, because they have a lot of control over what you do. So breaking that news to them in the correct way and make sure you're in the best position possible going forward. She really helped with that. She also helped with the portal and setting up, you know, you have to do the whole process pretty much again. So setting that up, asking, giving me questions I should ask, and giving me making sure I write out a list and put in all my history of what I've done at New Mexico and wins and kind of stuff like that, so I could get to like what I wanted to do, which was to get to a higher university and a better conference, so I could get the ranking, get whatever my goals were.
Yeah.
And he really understood that. Pippa really understood that and helped me towards that, which turned out well. So yeah.
So just speaking about your time at Mizzou, what did you feel like? You said you wanted to play, you know, like at a bigger school. Yeah. Would you say to potentially, you know, some of the players that are thinking about playing tennis, having tennis as more of a focus, say, than maybe academics, what would you say in looking for a tennis school? Because I know that you ended up wanting to go to a better tennis program. What advice would you say? Because I know it's quite a lot of stuff to think about with, you know, learning about lineup and rank, like individual rankings compared to team rankings, setting goals for yourself, setting goals as a team. How did you find that whole process? Because I know for me and myself, it was like learning a whole different world, basically. Yeah. It is.
I think honestly my younger brother, who obviously ended up coming out to America too.
Yeah. I think I'm going to interview him as well.
Opened my eyes to a lot of that kind of stuff, because because it wasn't even really mentioned at New Mexico. I mean, like, it was a completely different world, and I was like, what? Wait a minute, like, what's all this kind of stuff? Because I really didn't have any idea about any of that.
Yeah. You mean like individual rankings and stuff?
Individual rankings, like...
the national tournaments.
Yeah, NCAA, any of it. Like, I was just, like, oblivious, really.
Yeah.
On a team that really didn't really care if they won or lost. It was kind of like that type of environment that
yeah.
didn't really suit me very well. But a lot of girls transferred from when I visited, and it was a whole process. So, anyway, but I would just say the biggest thing is like learning more about the American college.
System.
Like, actually just do your research
a
little bit more, so then you can provide that to people. Like, just understanding how it works, and you know, having good contacts out there who are out there right now. Like, if you have friends that are older than you that are doing it, like, ask them questions. Or if there's a British person on your team, like, ask them questions, because they're going to be pretty truthful with you, I think. And getting their advice as much as possible, and just understanding, like, you can do this for yourself. Like, the fall's individual, like, go do stuff for yourself, and then the spring's obviously more for team time. Just being aware of that, so you can actually set the goals that you wanted, because as soon as I did that, I achieved most of the goals that I wanted to achieve in college, which is cool. But without the help of Pippa, without transfer, without the help of my new coach at Mizzou and the girls I was on the team with, like, none of that would have been possible.
So what would you say was your best moment in tennis in Mizzou, or I'm guessing it was in Mizzou, but as a whole, like, in college tennis?
I don't know, I had 3 main goals, which was to win regionals. That was probably one of my highlights, was winning regionals. It was a pretty cool accomplishment for me. Especially doing it at, like, a higher level in, like, different conference area with, like, different like, levels. That was pretty cool. Being ranked was also another one of mine, and trying to go to NCAAs, that was pretty much it, or become an All-American. So, I mean, I accomplished, like, most of that and stuff. So, but I think, honestly, regionals for me was probably my biggest highlight, just because it was just so unexpected and out there. And, I mean, I had COVID the 2 weeks prior to the tournament.
Oh, wow.
I didn't even train or anything. I was just like, I'll just go out here and just see what happens.
And then you won the title.
After that, it just kind of spiraled. So I got ranked, worked my way down the rankings. Was top 32 in singles, top 7 in doubles.
And then by then, were you playing top of the lineup as well?
Yeah, so before, actually, I won regionals, I was told, like, I'm never going to play, like, I'm at Missouri now, like, you're not going to play top of the lineup, you'll be, like, our bottom, whatever. And then I won regionals and was outperforming everyone on my team, and he was like, okay. And then I pretty much played one ever since. So it was just, after that, it's just proving yourself and having people behind you to support you, like, Brad. So,
I think it's so interesting, like, first of all, finding a school that fits what you want in terms of, like, your ambition, and obviously being surrounded by, I think, a great coach and teammates, because you do spend an abnormal amount of time together. But just kind of going back to the college tennis, like, scene as a whole, and balancing, you know, being a student athlete, and, like, balancing your social life and your school and everything. Did you feel like it was a massive change, or did you feel like there was a lot of support around you at these universities? Because I feel like, in general, the players that I've spoken to so far, you know, you kind of treated like a mini professional in a way. You know, you have the physio, you have your academic advisor, you have, you know, a coach, assistant coach, kit manager, or whatever. And I feel like that's something that a lot of people that don't go to American college know really about, is like, I felt like I had about 15 people that I could, you know, text, compared to now being a professional tennis player, you know, it's like just you.
It's a big change. I mean, I love being out there, being on, like, that team environment and having, like, the support of others. Like, you actually don't realise how much, like, your environment affects the way that you play. it's actually crazy how much like the people around you have impact on how you perform, and like a lot of support out there, a lot of different alleyways you can go down to get what you need, which is awesome, and it's all for free, which is awesome. We're on scholarship,
it depending, obviously for guys it's a little bit different, and maybe some girls that don't get full scholarship, but it is at least cheaper than how it would be if you're on the tour, or if you went to a British university not on scholarship.
And I definitely think choosing the correct coach, that your personality and the way that you see tennis and what you want out of tennis is super important, because if you clash heads, it's hard to get through college tennis if you don't really like your coach. And having a good support of teammates, like at Mizzou, I found like a load of people that were awesome for me and push me. Like, they wouldn't tell me lies about like stuff, they would tell me how it was, but it makes it better, and you know that they would only ever want like the best for you and stuff like that, which is awesome. You just want to create and find people that will do that, and if you do, you probably will succeed, because your environment's just the way you want it. I would like, the biggest thing is like obviously coming out of college tennis, like going from that to then just completely cut off, like there's not really a lot of advice, there's not really a lot of structure. From going from such a structured environment to this, it's a lot harder. I feel like there's a big gap there almost.
So just talking through like what you're doing now, so you're on the tour giving it a go. How has that been, being back in the UK, like coming from that team environment to obviously individual sport, like managing yourself essentially?
I mean, I think it helps. I have a brother that's also with me right now doing the same stuff. It kind of helps motivate you a little bit more. But I'm with Richard Crabtree right now, training at Leeds Beckett. So I have a good team around me that way. I mean, he's a great coach, and there's a lot of good Yorkshire players. So also helps, and I'm going training every day with them. And then I have Richard to help me go through my schedules and stuff like that, which helps a lot. I mean, I didn't really have that as much in America, because I did about a year a bit out there, but that was mostly on my own, training on my own, scheduling on my own. So coming back home has really helped with that, just kind of have just that more
a bit more of a structure.
Exactly.
So just last question now, what would you say to someone who's thinking about maybe using Stars and Stripes as an agency to pursue American college tennis? Would you recommend it?
I'd definitely recommend Stars and Stripes. I mean, you're not going to be led astray. Like, Pippa knows exactly what she's doing. She's experienced it herself. She has first-hand experience. She has so many connections. Been to so many places in America. I mean, she travels all the time, going to different places, going to nationals.
I was going to say that she does show up, doesn't she, to the NCAA?
She's consistent. I mean, she knows a lot of coaches, a lot of connections, and she'll get you to the best fitting place for you at that time. Like me, did I grow out of that? And did I say yes, but New Mexico was the best place for me at that time. To get what I needed to then grow in to be able to play at Mizzou, right? If I'd have gone to Mizzou straight away, I might have failed. You never know, a different outcome.
Exactly.
I think she's a great resource. She helps with the stress of everything and the paperwork, the American side of stuff that British players we're not really in tune with. We're getting more in tune with it, but we're still not really. You still don't know the ins and outs of stuff unless you've lived it and done it for 5 years.
And also it's changing all the time too. Like, they change the rules all the time. I think it was different from when I went to when my younger sister went, 4 years later. So
exactly, everything's changing and adapting, and that's why it's good to have a mentor like that always knows what's right and will always do like the best they can for you. I think she's a great resource. Someone definitely, if I was to do it again, would definitely go with her again. So
well, thank you so much, Bronte. I really appreciate it.
Of course, thank you.